Okay, what we're going to discuss in this video is how to complete assignment 4. So you want to watch this video before I start going into the phases of periodization. It may help understand the periodization lecture a little bit better, but eventually you'll watch those lectures and complete this assignment. So let's start just by kind of what exactly do I expect. So first is at the top here you will list the your sport, and if your sport has a position, tell me what that is. Don't tell me the name of your athlete because I don't. You can, but I don't know all of the athletes. So if you do tell me the name of your athlete, make sure you tell me what sport and position they play. You're also going to choose a model. So you have two models to choose from. You can choose from the linear periodization model or nonlinear undulating, and that's what this says right here. So you'll design a resistance training program for your athlete, choosing the traditional linear or nonlinear undulating model. So at least 4 exercises, but you can obviously add more. So you can add a 5th if you would like, or 6th, whatever you want to do. But at least 4 exercises for your athlete to perform during one training day during each period. So what you see here is just like an example. So it's like a sample of training. So you have the first preparatory period, which is the off season, week 1 of the off season, day 1 of the off season. So I want to know, what does an exercise or what does a workout look like for your athlete? So what else? So make sure exercise choice matches the exercise type. So if I do, let's say, a core lift here, that core lift is going to be back squat. Next column is goal-specific method. This is from our goal-specific training lecture, and I'll show you my example in just a second. But a method could be drop sets or clusters. It could be an ascending set. It could be a descending pyramid. It could be anything. So you have to list the method that you use. If you don't want to use a method, you just say this is a straight set. That means nothing changed throughout the workout or across all sets. Training goal, we know this one: hypertrophy, strength, power, muscular endurance. You'll tell me volume, sets times reps, intensity, and percent 1RM, and then what is the rest length. So going up here, just make sure you address each one of those. Make sure they match. That's what I'll be looking for and grading on. So go back to the program design lecture to make sure that you're following those exact guidelines from all of those charts, and all of those rules have to be applied. Next is adding conditioning work. So down here, this is going to be your sprints, your skill training, or any type of aerobic endurance exercise. So the chart is for resistance training. Do not list like sprints in this chart. The chart is for only resistance lifts. That does include body weight exercises if it's mimicking a weightlifting movement like box jumps. So this is resistance training down here. You can tell me any other conditioning work that they're doing. Plyometrics can also be included here, agility training, whatever you think is necessary. Next, you have to provide an explanation. So explanation for this is basically telling me why you designed this program the way you did. So it's really easy to fill out this chart, but if you don't know why you're training the way you are, it means nothing. So you have to be able to explain why you did those exercises. Just like your assignment 3, you wrote an essay on basically explaining why that goal is necessary to achieve performance gains, or why these methods are appropriate for training. So you're basically doing the same thing, but here it's only 5 sentences. So 5 sentences for your explanation on each phase. So I'll also be counting on that. I gave you an example, like why you chose those exercises, training goals, and volumes for your athlete, and how will this type of training prepare him or her for competition. So that's kind of the question that you're answering in your explanation. Use as much space as you need. You can certainly make your answers 10 sentences, whatever you want. So this just says refer to program design for the guidelines on training goals, volume, intensity, and rest. Refer to Lecture 6, goal-specific training, for choosing a goal-specific method. And then refer to Lecture 9, maybe 10 actually. Refer to the periodization lecture on guidelines for basically the overall goal of each phase. Each section is worth 10 points. So this whole assignment is worth 40 points. So you have to keep that in mind. There's a lot of points to be had here. Now we transition. We're in the first transition, which is our preseason. So now you're telling me, okay, you've made it from the off season. Now you're in preseason. Week 1, day 1 of the preseason. What does the workout look like? You're going to do the same thing. And then we have competition. Week 1, day 1. You also have to tell me, are they in a peaking phase or a maintenance phase? If your athlete plays a sport, they're probably in a maintenance phase. If they have a game every week for multiple months, that's a maintenance phase. So that's what you want to focus on. If your athlete has one competition, like they're an Olympic athlete, or they're competing in just one single event, like running a marathon, a bodybuilding, a weightlifting competition, whatever it is, that would be a peaking phase. So that's what you would describe here. Lastly is active rest. This is your postseason, so it's day 1 of your active rest. Do not email me and tell me that your athlete does not have an active rest. They do have one day that they will take off. So, and it's not completely off. It's active. So you're telling me, what does a day look like of active recovery? So they're still lifting weights, they're still exercising, it's just of a lower intensity. So you have to explain to me what that looks like. But yeah, so that's basically what each phase is, or what you're doing for your assignment. But let's look at my example. Okay, so here's my example, and put your name right here. And then I have my soccer midfielder, and I chose the linear model. Remember, you can choose the non-linear model. Go to the video lectures that explain periodization to understand the difference, but I'm doing a linear model. So linear model, preparatory phase for my soccer player. So remember, the preparatory period is characterized by hypertrophy, basic strength, and muscular endurance. Even though the hypertrophy phase or the preparatory phase doesn't say muscular endurance, you know that the hypertrophy phase includes a very large volume. So that's where the endurance comes in. So you can see I have my core structural, I have front squat, I chose hypertrophy, I have my intensity and my rest. If you notice, my goal-specific methods are pretty crazy. I'm just giving you lots of examples. So for this, let's say I did partial range of motion. So I did full squat, then a half squat, then quarter squats. A straight set is if you want to keep everything the same. So across all of my 4 sets, nothing changed. I didn't do anything fancy. Here, you also notice I have 2 exercises kind of in one spot here. So I have leg curl and leg extension. Here I have calf raises and step ups. So that's appropriate. You can group exercises together. So I have a GVT, German volume training superset. I know, that's a lot. My goal was hypertrophy, obviously, so I did a 10 by 10 protocol using exactly what that intensity suggested. Down here, I have accentuation supersets. Here I have 10 full reps, 10 pulses. So yeah, just get creative. So now we go down and look at my conditioning. So I kind of explained what do my runs look like? What does my agility look like? What do my sprints look like? And then here's my skill training. And here's my explanation. So no, I did not finish my sentences, but you are expected to finish your sentences. So I'm just kind of explaining why is hypertrophy important for a soccer player. And I talk about why is the high volume necessary to improve muscular endurance. Basic strength is also added to improve what? The core and assistance exercises are beneficial because why did I perform these distance runs? So yeah, it's just explaining exactly what I did. So let's move to the preseason. So preseason, week 1, day 1. you remember the first transition is characterized by the strength power phase. So most of my exercises should be strength power. But you notice, even though I did the linear model, I have a hypertrophy exercise in here. That's okay as long as most of my exercises are strength and power. So I have power down here and then strength, strength, power. So most are going to be the strength power. So let's start. So we have hang cleans, power. We're doing a cluster. So if you do a cluster, you have to identify the inter-repetition rest. There's another way to write this, and it's by doing something like this in your volume. So you can go to the lecture where we talked about cluster sets, and you can look at that. For back squat, we did ascending. So ascending, you can see that the load ascends each of my 4 sets. So make sure you do that. Also, you want to make sure your exercises are listed in order. So I have power, core structural, and then assistance. You can add plyos to the end. Plyos kind of can go kind of out of order. They don't have to, but they can because the load is usually going to be lighter. So let me keep going. So we see forward step lunges. It explains the barbell I'm using. What else? We go across. I'm doing inverted pyramids here, hypertrophy. So with inverted pyramids, you know the repetitions change and the intensity changes. Down here, I have a circuit. If you use a circuit, make sure you have at least 3 or more exercises. I did already find a mistake I made right there. That's supposed to be 35% instead of 65% because I'm using a kettlebell. So using a kettlebell, you want to lower that intensity to somewhere around 30-35%. Or it could be less. It could be 15 to 20. That's up to you and what you want to do there. Again, I have my conditioning work, which you can read on your own. This is posted on Blackboard. You can see kind of what I wrote about with my explanation. And then I move into competition. So for me, I am in a peaking phase. This says 2 weeks before the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, which we now know it has been moved to 2021. But when going over this, you see I did my power first. Power exercises, remember to reduce that 1 RM. Now I have deadlift and power clean. That's a complex set. I identified the intensity for each one of those exercises. Now I have back squat and bench press. We're doing a maximal effort method, which is working up to my 1 RM, but we're mainly just doing 3 RMs here. I've been over barbell rows, isometric holds, strength endurance. So yeah, and then no conditioning skills during the conditioning phase for my athlete, but I explain why the training is conducted the way it is. Next, in my active rest, this is 2 weeks post-Olympics. So I took off 2 weeks and now I'm training again. So you can see here I have sport-specific, a circuit of lunges. You can see my goal. The load is a lot lighter than it would be normally for a 12 RM. You can see I have drop sets, so drop supersets, triceps, biceps, muscular endurance, 15 reps there. You can see if you use a drop set, you actually have to drop the weight each set like I've done there. I have a compound set, muscular endurance, and then I have a circuit again with 3 exercises. Remember, body weight is 0%. And then again, I have no conditioning, skill training, enjoy active leisure, cycling, swimming, whatever. Again, and just explain it to me. So I know that's a lot. This is your biggest kind of project this year. So let me just give some other tips here. So first, please do not copy anything I have in a chart exactly from what you see it as it is here. So you cannot just take one whole row. You can take a front squat, and then I'm going to do, instead of hypertrophy, muscular endurance. But I'm going to change the reps from what I have. And I may do an ascending set with that. So you can obviously take different parts of my assignment and use that in your own, but I know my assignment very well. And so if I see anything that looks remotely close to copying something that I did, you will not receive any points. So just be sure your assignment is unique and is specialized, individualized for your specific athlete. So these points are going to be like worth like half a point or so, or quarter points. Some are worth quarter points, some are worth half a point, but it does accumulate. There's a lot that you can miss here. I'm also looking to make sure you have at least 5 sentences for each one. But yeah, I think that's about it. There's probably going to be questions over this assignment, and that's completely fine. Please email me with any questions that you have. Use my example to get you started on kind of all of it. Remember, you can choose nonlinear. If you choose nonlinear, there is actually no set pattern of training. You can kind of arrange this assignment however you would like to. It's up to you. You can just get creative. But your assignment has to make sense. Regardless of how you do things, it has to make sense. So just kind of keep that in mind. Does my training program, is it appropriate? Would an athlete actually use this? So use the internet to find exercises, get creative with the way you're going to do things. Again, really pay attention to the video lectures over periodization to help you. But this is up to you. This is your assignment. You do it however you would like to. If you have any questions over this, please email me. Please let me know. But you have the freedom to design this however you would like. Good luck.